So this is now more from the angle of organisations and internally. What we've seen is most people do support diversity. Most people do support gender diversity. They have beliefs, organisations have values, they have a lot of supporting activities like mentorship, there's aspirational targets, and we've seen lots of examples just now. But there's still a big gap, and that gap is the action on selection. We're not doing it. Aspirational targets are not enough. Affirmative targets, I know it's controversial, but affirmative targets and directives work. But there's different types of affirmative targets. We heard this morning, we saw an example of the hierarchy ladder and how long it can take people to get through to the top level, and it was challenged how we can change that typical hierarchical ladder, and we can do that with gender in mind. How can we change that around? I haven't got the solution, but HR experts can do that with gender in mind. But an example of another example of affirmative targets that's not quite like you might think of affirmative targets. There's very innovative ways to do it. We're currently setting up a new network, and we're doing the governance, we're doing the charter, we're organising the General Assembly and how it would be established. Now, if we ask every organisation to have a representative on that General Assembly, we know it will be 90% male. So how do we deal with that? Because we don't have the right and shouldn't be telling others who their representative is. So our innovative solution is every organisation has 2 representatives, just like we do in the CG, and minimum 1 must be female. So they still choose their representatives and they choose who their main representative is, but this is female. That's assertive, not an aspirational target, it's an assertive one, but it is more innovative. So there are ways to do it past the way we're doing it now. And if I just give one more example. So we work on equitable partnerships, and in doing that we've been looking at the gender journey, because we see the equitable partnership journey is similar, but we're way at the beginning of that journey. And when we've analysed the gender journey, so maybe 20 years ago it was up to individual scientists if they included gender in their projects. Later advocacy brought gender on the agenda. Then we developed more sophisticated methodologies, KPIs, evidence, etc. And we've moved along the journey. We're very sophisticated now. The turning point that really made the difference was when funders said it must be in your proposals. That was the turning point. How can we use that analogy now for our organisations? And it is a type of affirmative target, not aspirational target. So how could the funders do this? Do you remember the day when the World Bank ranked CG centres, and depending on how high your ranking is was how much money you got? That was quite affirmative action, but on a whole list of criteria. So there are ways to do it, to push more than just mentorship. Well, we need it. We need the mentorship, we need the training, we need all of that, because a target doesn't work without that supporting environment. But we need to do more, and more affirmative.
Thank you very much.